Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel and another design team layout for the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut files team. Today I'm going to be working with the Inner Blossoms cut file that was just released in the most recent cut file release over in the Etsy store. And I've just cut it out on white. I'm going to be scrapping a photo of my wedding bouquets, and I'm using the Pink Fresh Studio Just a Little Lovely collection. I haven't actually used much of this collection. I've really adored it. I bought pretty much the whole thing, everything I could get my hands on anyway when it was released, and I made maybe 2 layouts with it. I've just really struggled with the ephemera that is included. It's all really kind of wordy and boxy and just kind of like journaling bits and not a lot of icons. And for a very floral layout, there aren't many floral ephemera bits. So yeah, I think that's why I have struggled with it a little bit. So I'm going to do my best to make it work for this layout because I really love the colors. I bought it specifically for my wedding album, so I kind of want to get some of it into the album. So I am not going to back my cut file. I am going to use it as is, but I am going to add some mixed media, obviously. Well, one media. So I'm adding the Glitz Glitter Gel by Gina K in the white color. So it's very subtle. It's very difficult to see on camera, but yeah, once I zoom in, you can see that it's all white and glittery and textury. It's quite kind of like a coarse, I wouldn't say coarse to look at. It's fine to look at, but it's got a coarse texture because it is real chunks of glitter mixed in with that gel, so it comes off quite textured once it's all dried. You can really feel the coarseness of the glitter, and yeah, it's a nice way to jazz up a white cut file without going to the trouble of backing it all. So I'm just going to glue this down behind the large center portions of those flowers. I want all the edges and all the petals to lift up a little, so I'm not gluing the whole thing flat. And this is the photo I'm going to use, but I did actually go in and reprint it because this is the one I had printed originally, and this is the one that I printed out myself at home. So the photo place I've been using is not, it's not great lately, so I just went through and I actually edited this photo a little bit too. I lightened it up a bit. Yeah. One thing I could definitely recommend for your wedding, if you haven't been married yet, to not skimp on the photographer. So I'm just going through and adding some white tissue paper to the back of my photo, and it is roughly 4x6, the size of the photo. I did, like I said, print it out at home, so it's not exactly the same dimensions as a photo lab would print it, but it's pretty close. So I'm just trying to decide where I want to have my photo positioned on the layout. So I'm just going to snip this cut file. It would have been a lot easier to do this before I glued it down, but you know, lesson learned. So I just want some of the petals of this cut file to lay out over the edges of my photo, just like that. Not covering up anything important. The main thing I want to showcase in this photo is the flowers. So our dresses in the background are pretty, you know, they're just part of the background. This paper is from the 6x6 paper pad. I'm just tearing some of the edges. It's just a black and white sketchy floral design. Really pretty. I just want a bit of a torn layer either side of my photo, and that's all I'm going to do for photo matting. I don't want to go over the top because that cut file takes up most of the background, and I don't want it to be too busy a layout. I want to keep it nice and soft and light and airy. So just sticking that down, it's not going anywhere else, and I don't want it moving around too much while I embellish. So I did pull off this lovely script off the puffy titles in this collection, but it just, like you can see there, you can see it, but it's not punchy enough for me. It's fading a bit too much into the background, so I'm going to take it off. It was the only title off that layout that, off that thickest pack that would have actually made sense on the layout. Otherwise I would have used a different color, but none of those would work. So I just went through and found this beautiful script in the ephemera pack, and I'm just snipping off, it still has some of the bits attached, you know, like where it's punched out from the cardboard, those little nubby bits. So I've just snipped those off. And now I'm going to use some of the tiny puffy alphas from this collection. I love these that Pink Fresh make, the mini puffies. I've got quite a few sets now. I just, yeah, this is one of my favorite products from theirs. Of theirs, rather. And I'm just going to spell out bouquets, so my title is going to be Beautiful Bouquets. And yeah, they're kind of like a watercolor ombre effect. So they're all slightly different colors, which, yeah, adds a bit of nice interest. And now I'm going to start embellishing. So I'm just going to add 3 little clusters of florals. Like I said, that cut file is doing most of the work on this layout for me, so I don't need to add too much. I do pop in these 2 clusters of florals from the ephemera, and there's not many left after that, so those 2 little leaves I've just popped in as well. I did try to use that floral cluster at the top there, but it is not the right color. It's all colored in, whereas the other ones I've used are just black and white with pops of green. And yeah, it just wasn't quite working for me. So I have found the pattern paper that has those black sketchy florals in the 12 by 12 size, and I'm just going to go through and cut out one of the little clusters, and I'm just using my fussy cutting scissors to trim around that carefully, and I'm just going to speed through this quite quickly. But yeah, I just want another cluster at the top of, or near the top of my page, and yeah, I wish this collection had more florals in it. I know they did a vellum or an acetate flower pack, I think it was, and I do have a vellum flower pack from another designer that I've added to this kit to kind of supplement it. So I'm just going through now to outline the outline. I'm going over the outline of this flower with my Pigma Micron because this paper was printed slightly more like a grey outline, whereas those floral ephemera pieces I've used are definitely black outlined. So I've just gone on over that with my Pigma Micron, and now it looks a lot better. It looks more cohesive. So I'm going to tuck that just at the top there where there's a bit of a gap in the cut file. And I've added a couple of little pink fussy cut flowers. Those teeny tiny pink flowers. I've added one of those to each cluster. These vellum florals are from a Rosie Studio collection. I think it was Indigo Mist from memory. So I'm going to use those. I'm just going to tuck one in each floral cluster, and I have just snipped this one in half because it was quite large, and I just want the edges peeking out. I want some of that green and just a little bit of that pink because it is quite dark compared to the rest of the layout. So I'm going to go through and start gluing bits and pieces down here. I'm just using some wet glue, and I am just, as per what I normally would do, adding glue to kind of the base of the florals and tucking those in underneath the photo, and that way the edges they're not sitting flat to the page. I like to just add some glue to the base of the florals and the leaves and tuck them under, and that way all the outside edges lift up really nicely. And often I'll go in with some foam squares and add those for some extra dimension. I'm not sure whether I did that on this layout though. So these little hearts are ones I made myself actually. They're just punched hearts, and I've added dimensional magic to the top. I think you can also use, what's it called? What's the other one? Glossy accents. That's the one. So I've just made my kind of own little enamel looking heart embellishments, and I did some flowers as well, but I'm just going to use 3 of the hearts on this layout. And then I'm adding these little epoxy stickers. They're kind of like enamel dots from Kaisercraft, but they're not quite as opaque. They're slightly translucent, so I thought they added a nice soft touch. I'm just adding 2 of those to each of those clusters. I'll also pop in 2 of these little butterflies. They are just stamped and embossed with a mint embossing powder. That little pile you can see off to the right of my photo, a lot of that is embellishments that I made to complement this kit or this collection. So same with these strips of word phrases, because I couldn't get all the bits and pieces when I ordered. A lot of it was sold out, so I just made some extra stuff to supplement it myself. So I'm going to tuck in 3 of these little phrases. And yep, so 1 in each of those little clusters. And I'm just using wet glue to pop those in. Not even sure what they say, I'm sorry, but pretty generic stuff, you know. Okay, so now I'm just coming in with some Liquitex acrylic ink in titanium white and doing my normal splatters that I do on every layout. So I'm just using a kind of, I find a bit of a frayed paintbrush does better splatters. And that is my layout finished. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check the description box for the links to the Etsy store and to this particular cut file. And close-ups are coming up. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.